gold for the NBA, but he's the undisputed MVP of real estate, running point for one of the most unstoppable teams in the business. A master of assists. He's got the vision, the hustle, and the winning strategy. Give it up for Rob
Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of the Fullcourt Press. Today, I'm excited to introduce a couple of new guests to you. The first will be Jason Evans from View Homes. Jason and I have known each other for a while. He's been in the building business about 25 years. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about new construction, and there's some cool differences he's building in Iowa. And we're going to talk about Iowa versus Kansas City and a couple of cool differences that they have. There's a pretty neat foundation difference there, and I'll let him tell you about that. But we're going to get into that a little bit. And then in the second segment, I'm finally getting to talk all basketball in one segment. So I'm really, really pumped up about that. We've got Jacob Gilliard on, who is the all-time leader in steals in Division I and an NBA guy right now playing with the Cleveland Charge. So we're going to talk basketball. Not that I don't love real estate, but this episode is the one I've been waiting for. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm super pumped up to have my buddy Jason Evans from View Homes on, and this segment is sponsored by Avid Inspection, so we appreciate your support. Jason, my man, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Let me give the viewers a little bit of background on you. And you know, if I mess this up, you just tell me, right? So Jason started as an assistant superintendent, right? About 25 years ago.
Yeah, long time ago.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't look that old. Like, feel like you started when you were 12 or something. Is that about it?
Close. Yeah.
Close. So after 11 years of that with, or you went to Rotland Homes and you had 11 years with Rotland Homes, correct? And then you moved over to Greyhawk and became a division manager there. Mm-hmm. And then on to Summit Homes is where I met you. So Summit Homes came from Kansas City to Iowa, started the division there, and you ran that. And so we became close buddies at that point. So I'm really glad that Summit went into Iowa there for a while. So that's right. Good. Yeah. And now you are a division operations manager at View Homes. So tell us a little bit about View Homes and kind of what you're doing in Iowa.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of go back and start early on. So with Rotland, I started there when I was actually in college, and kind of learned the ropes as assistant superintendent. And then in 2008, got the opportunity to become a superintendent by transferring to Iowa. So that's how I got to Des Moines. That transferred with Rotland. And then, in 08, when things were tough, they were closing down and Greyhawk Homes was coming to town. And Greyhawk Homes actually kind of bought all of Rotland's assets. And so I was one of the assets that they brought on. So I took over there with, finished up all the Rotland stuff, and then eventually worked my way up to division manager with Greyhawk. And that the owner of Greyhawk in the 2020 time decided he wanted to get out of the market and really get out of home building altogether. And so that was the transition time actually when Summit was looking to come to Des Moines. So timing worked out great. And I actually met with Fred Zalman and we started the Summit division here in Iowa. And that lasted for about 3 years or so. And then as they were looking to move out of the market, I got the opportunity to start a division with View Homes. So View Homes is we're actually a franchise. So View Homes Corporate is out of Colorado and Texas mostly, and then they have a franchise set up. So we're the second franchise. There's the first one is in Rapid City, South Dakota.
And so explain that to us a little bit. I mean, that's a little different for the building industry, right? We don't see.
Yeah, there's a few different franchise operations throughout the country. Some of them you wouldn't really know that they're a franchise. Some you would. So, but ultimately we utilize, a lot of the plans and the website and just sort of all the back end systems that the corporate company utilizes. And we're able to start up, a division in a different part of town or different part of the country that they're not familiar with. It's just it's a different opportunity for somebody that wants to get into home building. You can kind of get a jump start, I guess. So,
similar to our team, right? We have lots of back end systems and support and all the stuff that, people, the agents that join the team want to have that.
Right.
So that's kind of a cool deal that you've got all that back end support.
Yeah. Yep. So it works out. It's a unique setup, definitely. But so far so good. So yeah. So but our franchise is locally owned here in Des Moines. And it's a View Homes. What we strive to build, high quality homes with innovative designs, and we really focus on best in class customer service. That's really what we're about. So.
Yeah. Well, I think they've got the right guy in place there, because the one thing that I will say, and now don't get a big head here, Jason. I know we're buddies, so I don't want to say too much good stuff. But when we were in Des Moines with you for Summit, we had a lot of sales there, and the one thing is everybody loved you. Like the realtors loved you, the buyers loved you. You took care of people. You really did a good job of finishing the houses, and sometimes punch lists are tough. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think you, that's the one thing that has always stood out about you to me, is that you've always finished the houses. They've always looked good. So you really do take the customer and put them first. So View Homes is lucky to have you in that realm for sure.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, well, first of all, before we get into some of the construction piece of it, I want to talk about Minnesota, right? So you were born and raised in Minnesota, and you decided you wanted to go to better weather, right? And get to Iowa. Is that what it was? You're like the beach, Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have never thought that I would have, ended up somewhere else. The opportunity arose, and I'm super thankful that we took it. We love it here in Iowa. We've been here for 17 years now. So it's home to us now. Iowa, Des Moines area, especially, it's got a small town feel, but, people are great. We got great schools, great place to raise family. Cost of living is reasonable. So the other thing with with building industry that I've really enjoyed is that, it's a lot more moderate, even flow compared to some of the other markets. You get to East Coast, West Coast, and you have huge highs and huge lows. And here in the Midwest, and similar to Kansas City, is it's fairly moderate. We don't see the big highs, we don't see the big lows. It's just kind of steady eddy, which I think is great.
It's great. Yeah. When we expanded there, I was like, Iowa, like really, we're going up to Iowa. And then once we get there, you realize, like, to your point, it's a very small town feel, but it's also growing like wildflower, right? It is every single little city. From Waukee to, all of them up there. It seems like you guys are just building. Everything looks new, and it's nice, and the people are super friendly Midwest. And so, I can see where you get there and then you don't want to leave.
It's very, very clean too. When you travel around the nation, you really get to kind of see these, these other cities, and come back home and just notice how clean it is here.
Yeah. Chipotle is still better than Pancheros or whatever you took me to, but we got to disagree on that, right? We're going to disagree on that one. Okay. So, here in Kansas City, obviously we do a lot of construction here. What do you feel like is some of the differences? You've been down here, you had your meetings here and stuff, and you've looked at a lot of construction here. So, some of the differences, fill us in a little bit on that.
Sure. Yeah. Some of the biggest differences that I saw, obviously soil conditions for one. You guys have a lot more challenging soils than we have here, with the rock and whatnot, that you're over excavating a lot of stuff, where here we've got, a few areas that we have some expansive soil, but by and large, we have pretty good soils here, so we're not dealing with that. Foundation differences, and I think in foundation, even structural, the fact that you have bad soils, you guys do a few different things with your foundations, and you do a lot of steel beams in the basements. posts and steel beams, where we do a lot of spread footings and bearing walls. So if you go to a basement, one of your houses, it's unfinished down in Kansas City compared to here, it's going to look different. I mean, you guys don't have too many walls. It's just steel beams and posts. Whereas we'll have 2 or 3 bearing walls, even in an unfinished basement. And one of the things that when you guys come up here and see our foundation wall panels in this market are all brick pattern. Versus just the smooth. And that was always something that stuck out.
Yeah,
which is
there
different.
it is.
Well,
there it is.
so-
Yeah. So here, you look on the outside of the house, the bottom of the foundation there, you see
Smooth.
just smooth concrete. And then when we went to Iowa, it all looked like little concrete bricks. And we were kind of like, let's get that in Kansas City. Like we kind of dig that look. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's one. And then the other big thing is just the siding differences. For a lot of new construction in Kansas City, has the vertical siding panels on the sides and back of the homes, and we don't see that here in this market at all. And part of that's your single wall construction that you do, with that being the sheeting and the siding, and that's just not something that's done in this market. So whereas we have a decent amount of vinyl siding in our market, and then hardier LP on all 4 sides.
Yeah.
So,
And it's interesting because, when we first went up there, we were like, oh, you do vinyl? Like we don't do that here. And now
right.
you see that kind of moving this way a little more.
Yeah, probably.
We don't have the brick foundation, but we've got the vinyl siding kind of coming this way. So, that was definitely kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the other things that that stuck out to me was the fact that that almost every one of your communities down there has amenities, and here that's much more rare. We have a few, but not every community like is there. So
yeah, that's a kind of a bucket list thing for me. Right.
Yeah.
Someday I want to go to Iowa, develop a piece of land, put in a pool, pickleball courts, walking trails, all that stuff, and see how that goes in Iowa. Cause I really feel like that, I feel like it's a difference maker to buyers and stuff. So, but like you said, the market isn't used to it. So it's not affecting anything in Iowa, and people are just kind of used to that. But another difference in sales, a lot of times we have one community that's got one marketing company, and they might have 4 or 5 builders in that community, but one marketing company. And up there, each builder has their own person. So it was a little odd for us to have, 5 or 6 realtors in one community. Sometimes their houses are open, sometimes they're not. When we're open, maybe they're closed, or vice versa. No cohesive marketing. So some of that was kind of definitely a challenge for us to get through.
Yeah.
But, going into sales and talking a little bit about that. So Trisha, your wife and our manager up there. So the first time we met was at a Chiefs game, right? And it was the Vikings, right? It was, you come.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a preseason game. And I remember when we were introduced, Trisha was like, "Who is this guy? Like, this is another realtor coming into Iowa. Get out of my space, right?" But then she realized I'm not a bad guy. I'm a pretty nice guy, right? So, but talk a little bit about that. So Trisha manages our team up there, and also helps you with View Homes and the sales there, and sits in one of your communities and kind of helps manage that. And in fact, your partner Dan, his wife Erin, is also on our team, and so you guys have 2 wives helping with the sales. Talk to me about the pillow talk. Is it all real estate all the time?
Yeah, it's challenging at times. We have one daughter still at home, and as she, comments often how we, come home and we talk about work all evening. So it does happen. There's definitely, there's goods and bads with it. It's great because, with both of them, they're fully vested in what we're doing. So that's a good positive piece of it. So, but at the same time, then we're, constantly talking about work. But
right. Yeah. But to your point, I mean, having both of them, nobody wants to sell your homes more than they do, right? So that's gotta be a good thing.
Yep.
Well, very cool. Is there any other things with View Homes that you would like to? I've got one more kind of question for you at the end here, but before that, is there anything else with View Homes you'd like to tell our audience?
Well, I think, we're newer to the market here. We've been, almost 2 years. We've got a couple new communities coming up that we've got some smaller product for better price point. So Fox Creek Meadows, Milwaukee, and Pavilion Park in West Des Moines. We're super excited to get these projects going. We got foundations started in both of them here just recently in the last 30 days. So, another 60 or 90 days, we'll have product ready to be available, where we have a full sales center at Fox Creek. So we're excited to get those moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just reiterate, if you're looking for a home in Iowa, I mean, building with you, I mean, it's really about that customer service piece, right?
Yeah,
I mean, lots of people can
absolutely.
build a house, and is it good, is it bad, but are they taking care of you? Are they finishing it? Are they doing what they say they're going to do? And
Yep.
And you and Dan do a phenomenal job up there. So obviously I highly recommend, if you're going to Iowa and you're looking for a home, make sure View Homes is on that list. So
Absolutely.
So my question today is, I've heard this rumor that you play a lot of golf, or when you have time, right? And do a little bowling as well on the side, right?
I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
those
we've
are my
got
pastimes.
we've got a couple of team members, Drew Slings and Curtis Christensen, and you guys all talk a lot of trash. And when I come up, I hear, oh, I'm a better golfer, I'm a better bowler. Trish is always like, oh, they're going to some bowling. Funny story. We were having a drink somewhere or whatever, and they said something about the national championships of your bowling league or whatever. The nationals, and somebody said, oh, you guys qualified for nationals, and you're like, no, you just pay the entry fee and you go to nationals. So we were like, oh, so you're drinking and bowling just for fun at nationals is pretty much it. So my question is, I'm gonna let's get this straight right now, so that way I don't have any more arguments when we come to Iowa. Drew, Curtis, and you, first off, who's the better golfer?
Drew probably takes the cake on that one.
Okay. He's a pretty good golfer.
He is pretty good.
Yeah. Now, I have seen Curtis hit too, and he can hit that thing a mile.
You can. Yeah.
Yep. So, if you tell me Drew is a better bowler, we may have to edit the episode and delete these questions. But this is pretty easy, right? You got an average. Yeah. I mean, who's the better bowler?
This is a slam dunk. I'm the better bowler by far.
By far? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the golf is close, but the bowling is no question.
Yeah, Curtis and Drew are definitely closer on the golf, but neither one of them will touch me on bowling. So
I love it. Love it. What's the bowling average?
201.
Okay. So that's how you qualify for nationals.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, man, it was great to have you today. Thank you for sharing a little bit of information on View Homes, and we're gonna do our best to just keep trying to sell your stuff up there, and hopefully we'll just keep going and going.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, brother. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.
All right. Have a good day. Welcome, everyone. This episode, I could not be more excited. My love for real estate is huge, but not nearly as big as my love for basketball. So I'm super excited about this segment, and we want to thank our sponsor, Johnson Moving Company, for being the sponsor for this segment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Jacob Gilliard. How you doing today, Jacob?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to give the viewers a little background on you first, and then you tell me if I've missed anything, which I'm sure I've missed lots, right? But you played at my son's rival, Barstow, through high school. So I was in the old gym not too long ago, and I'm like, man, this is the house that Jacob built right here.
The house I built.
Yeah, still got the nostalgia around it and everything. So went to 3 state championships there, right? Won the state ship in your sophomore year.
2014, 2015, yeah.
2014, 2015. So as a sophomore, you won the championship there. And then your senior year, you won this little award in Kansas City, the Dorena I mean, that's not a huge deal, just the best player in Kansas City, right? So that was pretty cool.
That did happen. I won that award. Yes, sir.
Yeah, pretty impressive. And then, so then you played ball at Richmond. So you were a Spider, and you played there for 4 years. And this is the coolest stat of all, right? The all-time steals leader for Division I basketball. That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive. I hope it gets broken because I'm somebody who wants the younger generation to do better and, basketball to keep evolving. But it's a record I'm not sure is going to get touched.
I love it. And I'm an old head now, and I've played with you a couple times on the court, and I'm old and slow and all of that. But I remember driving from the lane, or from the wing, to the lane, and if you can call it driving. And you were at the top of the key guarding somebody. You weren't on my team, and you knew I was going to kick it to the corner because that was the way I was turned in my body angle. I had to kick it to that corner, and it was just like a bullet, right? Just boom, and I just kick it, and all of a sudden you're there, and I'm like, well, I just got the ball stolen by the number one all time. So I was okay with that, but I understand your mentality and how you get some of those steals, because it's not all about just picking somebody's pocket. It's jumping in the passing lane and all of that. So really impressive. But then you went undrafted, but you got signed by the Memphis Grizzlies, correct? And then since then you've played with the Nets, and currently you're playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers organization.
Yeah,
Cleveland
yes,
Charge,
sir.
right?
Charge.
Yeah. So I'm super pumped about this. Get to talk to you all things basketball. So, the first thing I want to talk about is you're sitting down. So, those who don't know you and they're watching, 5'8", 5'9", right in that range.
Yeah, I like to say 5'9", but
5'9",
might be a little generous. Might be a little generous.
Yeah, 5'9.5" with some shoes on, maybe.
Some
so I love it, but in basketball, that's a tough deal, right? I mean, when you're that height, it makes it different. And I'm going to bring this up, and I know you're sick of hearing it, and me and you talk about it all the time. But you've been told your entire life, you're too small. You can't do this. Oh, you're going to be a good high school player, but you're not going to be able to play D1. Oh, you can. Oh, yeah, you did play D1. You did pretty good, but not going to be able to make it to the NBA. I mean, you've just heard that over and over and over. So, give me some background on what your thought was on that. Did somebody ever say anything that really triggered you to be like, I'm going to show you you're wrong?
I don't. It just was so consistent. Like I was never somebody who grew a good amount in 4th grade, and I was just kind of that height for a while. Like I was always a slow bloomer. Like I was always pretty short. So I think it was just kind of natural. I think I always had a chip on my shoulder. And I think I kind of heard that, you weren't going to be able to do this or you weren't going to be able to do that. And, so, just proving people wrong was something that I kind of just found myself doing. And I don't know if I was doing it because I wanted to show people that they were wrong, or if I just loved basketball so much and I got good at it. But I think part of me, and I think part of any small guard, is just wanting to prove people wrong. And so it was kind of just that way my entire life.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of, maybe basketball people who aren't really basketball people think that, the height makes that much of a difference, but they don't understand, the motor, all the steals that you were able to get. I mean, that's, pretty much determination, effort, hustle. Was that, did you just have that your whole life, or was that something that, a coach along the way is like, dude, you got to step it up and play harder? Or did you always just play hard from the get-go?
I'd imagine I didn't always play hard. I had my dad, who was my coach when I was younger, and I probably thought I was too cool to play hard. I think that's something that, a lot of kids go through. But he kind of just always taught me there was two sides of the ball. And I think, naturally, if you're willing to take pride in defense and really guard, you're going to play harder on both ends. Just kind of the way basketball goes. So for me, having a dad that played basketball and coached, kind of just instilling the right things about basketball to me, I think was definitely pivotal and important to my career.
Right. Well, and let's make sure we're very clear here. It's not like you can't shoot it. Right.
So I make a couple shots here and there.
Okay, so I think people who think they know basketball, but maybe they don't know as much as they think. They don't understand that a kid like you, with all the hustle, determination, the motor, can make a big difference on the court, even on the defensive side of things, right? So the story that always comes to my head is, I'm an old guy and super slow and all that stuff. But we were playing, you were playing pickup with us, and I drove from the wing, and you were at the top of the key, and you knew that the angle my body was, I had to kick it to the corner, or I was gonna probably get blocked, right? So when I kind of no look kicked it to the corner, you just from the top of the key was like zoom, right, and just jumped right in front of it. So it was interesting to see the mentality, and I was like, okay, well, that is the number one steals guy in the history of college basketball. So I wasn't too sad about getting it stolen, but tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's your mentality when you go into those games in terms of defense? And do you look at jumping into passing lanes? Do you study the opponent? That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of watching the game and just kind of understanding. I think the more you know about your opponent, the better idea you have where the ball is going to go or where they're trying to get the ball. So I watch a good amount of film. But then, like you said, you're kind of at a disadvantage because of your height. You have to find ways to make up for it. But kind of jumping the passing lanes and kind of just being active with my hands and quick has allowed me to do so.
Yeah. There's a buddy of mine. I'll throw this in too. You remember Chad Holstrom?
Yes.
Yeah, Chad kind of trained you a little bit here and there back in the day, or coached with you, and he has always told me, because I've got a son, Grady, freshman, got some high hopes and dreams to follow your footsteps, but he's always told me that the fastest hands he's ever seen were you, at a young age. So to be active with those hands, makes a lot of sense when we talk about that. But let's be clear, you can shoot it. Right, you're not just a defensive guy. You're a career 36% free throw shooter. Your NBA statistics is 40% 3-point shooter. So now the story that comes to mind is you've trained at my gym a lot, right? And over COVID, you trained a lot at the gym. And I remember somewhere between your junior and senior year, I think it was, or maybe your COVID year of college, you decided to tweak your shot just a little bit. And I remember you were out there, and what I tell kids is, Jacob was 10 feet out tweaking that shot, right? And then for 3 weeks, like 10 feet out, and then maybe you went to 15 feet out. And then I remember I was like, hey, come play with us Saturday morning. And you were like, I can't, because if I play, I know I'm going to shoot threes, and I'm not ready to shoot threes yet. So, tell us a little bit about that. Did you feel like that helped you? Did that time in the gym really, make a difference?
It was something that me and my shooting coach, Casey Dudek, as you know, wanted to do since I was probably in 7th grade, maybe. I flicked my thumb a good amount on my offhand, and so we wanted to change it, but I just never had the time. With AAU, you're constantly playing, and then you go right into high school season, and so I just never had the time. And then COVID was the perfect time to have that opportunity to really tweak something with all the months that we had off. And just kind of uncertainty of what was going to go on. And so it was difficult. It was frustrating. I couldn't play pickup. I couldn't really play basketball how I wanted to play. I couldn't shoot threes, and that's a big part of who I am and what I do. And, we started from 5 feet in, and it was hundreds, thousands of shots, rep after rep. And I think the most challenging part was kind of not undoing my shot, but you've done countless hours of reps on a certain way. And I shot on the gun, every day, really, from middle school to high school, and then in college as well. And so trying to not forget how to shoot, but just kind of relax and tweak just something a little different. So I thought it was good for me. I ended up not shooting as well as I wanted to that year. And I remember thinking, was it worth it? And stuck with it. I think we tweaked it even a little more after that and made it probably a little less robotic. And it, I would like to think it worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, the percentages when I was looking, I did notice you had maybe just a little dip, and I remember you telling me that you were frustrated because you like, hey, you spend all those hours in the gym for a reason, so and I'm glad you shouted out Casey Dudek. I mean, I think he's the best shooting coach in town, and I teach a lot of kids as well, and pretty much everything that I teach them is what Casey teaches, and every now and then I have Grady sit with Casey and kind of tweak his shot a little bit and do different things. So he's amazing. Now so talk to me about Memphis, right? That had to be the coolest experience. So you got signed with Memphis. Ja Morant, was out for a while, and so you got to fill in and actually start 40 plus games or something, if I remember right.
I think I played in 40, started in half of them, so 20
Okay.
give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it was
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, that's got to be really, really crazy. I was watching you every single night, like, oh man, Jacob's playing tonight, and I had a clip on, I think our Instagram, EMC Court, where you stole the ball from Steph Curry, and I was like, I think I put on there, "Welcome to my house" as the music, like this is Jacob's house, baby. Like, so talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what's some of the coolest memories of that? Like, who did you meet that's hilarious? Who did you meet that's like, maybe so locked in that you're like, man, I need to take a little nugget from them?
Yeah. When I think overall, the funniest person I probably met was Dennis Schroeder. I thought he was a pretty funny guy. European, so he's a little different, but Dennis was a good guy. That was my time in Brooklyn, but my time in Memphis, I thought all the guys were good. We had a pretty close group of younger guys, so we were all kind of always together, always hanging out. It was a lot of fun. The basketball was amazing, man. I mean, it's everything you could dream of. You're on the court with the LeBron Jameses and the Kevin Durant's and the Steph Curry's. You know what I mean? Like, it's Giannis. It's everything you could want. I mean, and then if you're not in, you're courtside watching the basketball game. It's not a bad place
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah, not bad seats.
So for me, I think the coolest part was just playing. You know what I mean? Like, I was nervous at first. You know what I mean? I think everybody would be. And then as you get settled in, it's just basketball, something you've been doing your whole life. I think for me, going into the year, I was like, well, Ja's gonna be out the first 25. If I can get 5 of those games, excuse me, if I can get 5 of those games, I'm content. You know what I mean? If I can play 5, and then by game 9, I think they were like, we're gonna throw you in the lineup. We're gonna start you. So I called my dad and said, can you get here for the game tonight? I didn't tell him why. I was like, can you get here? I think I'm going to play a good amount. And so when I started, it's crazy. He just texted me about it a couple of days ago. It was like, this is one of the coolest moments in my life. I think for me, like, basketball, bringing people together and, meeting new people and everything outside of basketball is just a lot of fun.
Amazing. Yeah, I remember talking to your dad about that, and he was like, dude, that was the real deal right there. So that was pretty cool that you were able to do that, and he got to watch it. So I was just mad that I didn't get the text to fly down. I mean, I was that's okay, man. That's all right. That's all right, man. So
ticket people didn't even expect me to play, so I think I might only had one ticket.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the business side of the NBA. So knowing you and Jacob Gilliard and Christian Brown a little bit and stuff, they've all kind of trained at the gym. The business part of the NBA is just so different than what we know. We just watch a game, right? But you're the best. You're the best player on your high school team. You're probably the best player on your college team, and then you get to the NBA and you're like, okay, I've got to figure out how to fit in, how to make this work, how to get a contract out of it. Like, give us a little insight to the pluses and minuses of NBA as a business.
It's different. There's people that don't. There's people that are good enough to make it that don't make it, and you ask yourself why, and it's because they didn't make a business decision. If that makes sense, you know what I mean. So you have to buy into a role. Like every job, you have something that you're supposed to do that people expect you to do, and that's what you're supposed to do. And there's people that don't necessarily like their role. They don't like that job. They would rather have a bigger role and be more quote unquote important. And those are the kind of the people that don't stick around in the league, that are good enough to stick around in the league. So for me, being a businessman, you're gonna do whatever you want to, whatever you can to survive. You want to make it. I mean, the contracts are, the contracts are worth it. You're adjusting your role, and I think that's pretty difficult for people. I mean, it was difficult for me. Like you said, I was in high school. I was somebody who averaged 30 points a game, and when I got to college, I led our conference in scoring one year, and I might have led the conference in assists one year. When I got to the NBA, or when I got to the G League, at first it was, we have enough guys that can score. We don't need you to score too much. We want you to facilitate and make other guys better. And so that may be less fun than getting to shoot, 20 shots a game, but it's what allowed me to stick around. And I think that's just the business side of it. You got to figure out a way to make it work. And some guys do and some guys don't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely interesting. It's talking to you guys. It's just a whole different, it's a whole different business. I've heard guys saying, I cook these guys in practice over and over, but this guy's got a $20 million a year contract. So no matter how bad I cook him in practice, I'm not playing over him. Right.
They don't pay you to sit on the bench too much, man. There's only a couple guys that get that. But it's a crazy business. And you see it right now with Luka getting traded. I mean, it's just people make decisions, and, they may or may not be right, but the people that make the decisions are the one in charge. So
yeah, absolutely. So let's step back just a little ways. So my son Grady, freshman, also plays on what I think is the best club in Kansas City, in Run GMC, and LJ Goolsby, and he's our guy right there. So yeah, shout out to LJ. But I want to know a little bit about that, right? Like, you played every summer, or a lot of summers. I don't know how many summers you played with Run GMC, but did you play all 3 years with them?
All 3 years, and then my 8th grade year, I was with Power Group and Alan Skeens, and we're sort of a filter to Run GMC. So pretty much everybody we had on playing with Run GMC.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did that help? Being that I'm kind of going through this right now, but Grady's a freshman. They don't really look at freshmen a whole lot unless you're like 6'5" and super athletic, and all that. And I'm not even sure they look at you then. But fill me in for my own peace of mind. Like, when did that start for you? When did you start getting the recruiting guys, and let us into the Richmond deal too? Like, when did that kind of pop up?
Yeah. Everybody tells you wait till you're 15U. 15U is the age where it really matters. You know what I mean? You're in high school, but no coaches are really looking at you unless you're a top 10 player. I mean, we had a guy get an offer when he was in a 15, and it was like, this is crazy. You didn't expect it. So for me, I didn't get my first offer till I was 16U. It was from Stephen F. Austin, I believe. Okay. And I think I might have finished my sophomore year with 6 offers. And I mean, it was fine, but I had imagined I was going to get more offers going into my senior year, so my 17th year.
Yeah. So that was your sophomore summer that you're playing with Run GMC. Yeah.
And we had a good team. I mean, we weren't like the best. We had a good group of guys. We played the right way. I don't think any individual stood out more than the other. We had one guy who played 17, so he didn't play with us. We played up. But I mean, I think we were all just trying to figure out a way to win. And then 17U came. I played all right, I like to think, and a couple more offers rolled in. I think I finished maybe with 18 or so, a good amount in Missouri Valley. All mid majors though, no high majors. Good amount of Missouri Valley. I guess I had a Big East offer. DePaul but they were struggling, and it was kind of one of those. If you want to come, you have an offer, but if you don't necessarily have an offer. And then I had some Patriot League. And Richmond I don't know how Richmond came about. I remember the coach calling me and offering me, Coach Jenkins. He said, I watched you. I wasn't watching you, but all of a sudden he said, I was like 8 a.m. I went and got a coffee, and there was just this blur that ran by me on the next court. And so I stopped and watched, and he was like, sure enough, it was you. And I loved your game. But for me, I was nervous about going so far away from home. Richmond was 16 hours from Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So I was more Missouri State, UMKC, let's stay closer to home kind of guy. And then had a couple calls, well, not a couple calls. He texted me every day. He was trying to text my grandfather, my sister, my mom, everybody, just to kind of get a feel for me, get close to me. And then it was just kind of a need at Richmond. I knew I was going to play. They needed a point guard. So I knew I'd have an opportunity to play as a freshman, which is, I think, what every kid wants to do. Maybe not now with all the NIL. You might want to, take as many years as you can. But back then, I wanted to play as a freshman, and I knew I'd have a chance at Richmond. And great education, good school. I love the coach, and then it ended up being the perfect situation for me.
All right. So your accomplishments, long list, right? I mean, you've got everything you can almost think of. But the one thing that people don't have that you have is a painting on the EMC wall in Lee Summit, Missouri. Right. So we're gonna flash that picture up and make sure we see the mural that we have at the gym. And so many kids come out there and if they know you, they think it's really super cool. If they don't know you, I get to tell them everything you've accomplished and everything. So so I appreciate you being cool about that and meeting the kids out there and signing the wall. And it's been a privilege to have you out at the gym training for sure.
I appreciate I remember when you called me and asked me if it was okay, I thought I was in trouble. I thought I left the lights on at the gym. So when you gave me the call, I was, appreciative. Yeah, it was an honor. I mean, you've seen the guys that are up there. I like to think they're KC legends. So
yeah. Well, you got some KC legends, and then you're just over from Dr. J, LeBron, Jordan, Kobe. I mean, I put you in a pretty good spot, I thought. So that's good. Yeah. Well, okay. So we have some rapid fire questions for you to kind of end the show here. And you don't know these. I haven't sent these out to you, right? So GOAT talk. So who is the greatest basketball player ever?
Michael Jordan, by far.
Done. Easy. End of debate. I
mean, it's we've never seen anybody dominate the game of basketball how he did. I mean, well, maybe, but not like Mike. Mike's most dominant ever. Great.
I love it. I 100% agree. So we're just every time now, I'm just going to clip this segment here. I'm just going to clip that part and just send it to my buddies. Like Jacob Gilliard said, Jordan. So we're done. Yeah. Okay. So would you rather score 20 in an NBA game or have 10 assists?
I would rather score 20. More likely to score or more likely to have 10 assists. I think 10 assists would be better for that business we're talking about, but
right.
20 is 20,
20 is 20. Yeah. That's interesting. So I thought you might say assist there because you are a guy that is, you see the floor super well. Your vision's great. So I thought you might go assist there, but I understand why.
Limited and I don't shoot too much. So that means I was pretty hot if I got 20,
That's right. I love it. Okay, perfect. So who's the toughest guy to ever guard you?
Ooh. Drew Holiday, I'd imagine. Really physical, really good anticipation skills. He's got a 7-footer behind him, makes it a little tougher to go.
And he's pretty good size too. He's not a little dude, right?
Definitely. Guards up positions. Yeah. Drew Holiday.
Well, he's kind of turned that role into, multi-millions of dollars too, right? So back to we keep going back to the business side for sure, but yeah. So who is the toughest guy you've ever had to guard?
Steph. I think he just shoots from so far. It makes it tough to even. And you just can't relax for a second. It's Steph for sure.
Yeah. So when you made that play and you stole it, I just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So I'm like, no matter what happens in your career, like kids, grandkids, great grandkids are going to be like, let me show you something. That's just a clip you'll keep, forever.
Well, let's watch the tape, young grandson. Let's go see who your grandfather was.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So the final question, I've got a story before the question, but you shot on my dish, Dr. Dish, for how long? Years and years and thousands, tens of thousands of shots, right? And I remember we always kind of kept a record of we'd shoot 25 threes, and whoever, made the most threes or whatever. And I had the record on how many threes. I think it was 23, if I remember correctly. Matter of fact, I know it's 23 because I don't have the accolades you do, so I can remember that stuff. But I'm on vacation. I'm laying on the beach. My wife and I are on the beach, and you text me, and you literally said, "You're not going to want to hear this." And I just looked at my wife, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, something happened to the gym." Jacob's texting me, and you said, I tied your record. And I was like, hey, again, I don't mind getting the ball stolen by Jacob Gilliard. I don't mind tying a 3-point contest with Jacob Gilliard. So this question is, how many, if we shoot 25 threes today, how many makes do you beat me by? We're gonna do this. You know that,
I'm
right?
glad you're admitting I would win. I can appreciate that. The Rob I know that had 23 was consistently shooting. So I would ask you how often you've been shooting.
Oh, let's go back to the question. By how many I have not been shooting as much. My buddy Eric Schooley and me used to go out like several afternoons a week and shoot. And I have not been shooting that much. So right now you have been shooting way, way more than I have.
I think right now I'm gonna get 22 and you're gonna get 17 or 18. So 3 or 4. I'm giving you a lot of credit.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, that's what you got shooting. I think with you shooting, it's 20, 22 to 21. It's close.
It's close. Okay, good. Yeah, if I hit 17, I'm going to be upset for sure. If it's not 18 to 21, 22, like it's not going to feel good. So, well, my man, I super appreciate you. We follow you. We watch you all the time. You're welcome out to the gym anytime. Grady is a big fan, and we talk about it all the time. He's had probably his entire middle school career, ref after ref after ref come up to him and say, "You know who you remind me of? Jacob Gilliard." And he's always like, "Hey, that's my guy. That's my guy. That's perfect. I love it." So you've got a lot of young guys out there, trying to follow in your footsteps and do the things that you've accomplished. So no matter where it goes from here, you've accomplished amazing things, and Kansas City's got your back, and we're all following you out here. So is there anything you want to say to the audience to kind of shut it down here?
I appreciate you having me.
Anything to the kids, I guess I should say. What should you say to the kids that are trying to follow in your footsteps?
I don't want to say just keep working hard. It's kind of cliche. I think the biggest thing for me is if you want to be serious about basketball, you take it serious. I was somebody who didn't. I mean, this is me speaking from my personal experience. I didn't party too much. I didn't go out a lot. In high school, I was dedicated to the gym. I was practicing, and then at night I would go back and work out, or I would get on the gun. And so I think if you're serious about basketball, you got to be serious about it from a young age, and it'll take you. Look where it took me. I can only imagine where it can take other kids. So
yeah, absolutely, and I can attest to that. You would be at the gym 2 or 3 hour workout in the morning, and then you'd be like, "Hey, can I get back out there in the evening?" And it was pretty much when you were in town. It was every day. So. Super impressive, man. Well, we all love you here in Kansas City, and we're going to be following, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast today and talking with us a little bit.
I appreciate you.
All right, my man. We'll see you later. Good luck.
All right. See you, Rob. Go Chiefs.
Hey, thank you all for listening today. I truly appreciate it. If you would do me a favor, if you're listening on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, please hit the subscribe or follow button on those. Also, don't forget, we are on every social media outlet you can imagine at the Rob Ellerman Team. And that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Like there's places I don't even know we're at, I'm sure. So please follow us there as well. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening and hope to see you again soon.